But we start here by speaking to Mitchell Plitnick, who's the president of Rethinking Foreign Policy. Joins me from via Zoom from the US, because a lot is happening not only in the Middle East, but also in Canada with the G7 Leaders Summit. But where are we now? We're heading into the sixth day of what has been an intense exchange of rocket fire, targeted drone attacks between Israel and Iran. So far in Iran, 224 people killed. In Israel, 24. Now, Iran's foreign minister says that there is willingness to resume, firstly, nuclear talks with the US, but also has dismissed any suggestion of a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. But what's been happening at the G20 summit? Firstly, Donald Trump leaving early, says he wants to address an issue of Israel and Iran, but also he has now signed a call for Middle East de-escalation, something that he initially refused to sign. Also happening just over the space of this last few hours, Donald Trump posting on social media, on his Truth Social platform, and I quote, "Iran should have signed the deal. I told them to sign. What a shame and a waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Iran." Mitchell Plitnick, these seems to be two contradictory moves between Donald Trump. One signing, under much duress, a call for at least de-escalation in the Middle East, but then at the same time calling on people to leave Tehran, indicating some sort of either Israeli or joint US-Israeli strike on the Iranian capital.
Yeah, contradictory messages are something you get used to, unfortunately, when Donald Trump is your president. He likes to do this. He likes to muddy the waters. He likes to make everyone, particularly those he sees as being on the other side of the table, guess as to what his intentions are. He's made more moves in both of these directions. Iran has actually signaled that they're willing to sit back at the table and get back to the talks that they were having, that were making very good progress, as a matter of fact, as long as there's a ceasefire. They're not willing to negotiate while Israel's bombing them, which only makes sense. And that is a reasonable request. Trump has, on the one hand, said, well, Iran should sign the deal. What he's basically said also is that since they didn't do it by the 60-day limit that he set for them, he told Israel to go ahead and bomb them. That's basically saying, you take the deal, or, this gun that I'm holding to your head might accidentally go off. It's simply, gangster style negotiations. So he is very, very, it's hard to read exactly what he's doing, but what we do know is that the United States has sent another carrier to the region. They have sent more of their munitions to the region. So they're certainly making moves that look like they're getting ready to join in with an attack. Now, there's a lot of pushback here against that from his own people, as a matter of fact. There are a lot of people in America, in the United States and throughout the world, of course, but within his own political party, there's a strong anti-war sentiment. It's very isolationist. It's not a peace and love sort of sentiment, but it's still one that refuses or resists going to war. So we're going to see exactly how he decides to play this, because if he does decide to join in with a war against Israel, he's going to make a lot of his own base very unhappy.
Yeah, I've been reading reports this morning that even former Fox News anchor, now turned podcaster Tucker Carlson, has been lambasting pro-Israel MAGA media figures. So there even seems to be some discord within Donald Trump's own base in how he's been handling the situation.
And not only Tucker Carlson, but also Steve Bannon and people in Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of the most radically right-wing and pro-Trump members of Congress, has also been very clear about her opposition to this war. I got a report earlier tonight that there's actually going to be a bipartisan bill submitted in the House of Representatives to state that the United States cannot go to war with Iran. Now, there's all sorts of ways a U.S. president can get around that, but it would be a very significant thing if it passed. I doubt it will, but it will certainly get the support of most Democrats, and there's more than a few Republicans that will also support it. So though I don't think the bill will pass, it could be a meaningful political event here in the States.
Yeah, but what brings us here? So on the face of it, seemingly Iran's ambitions for nuclear proliferation, the US demanding that Iran give up enrichment entirely, Israel starting a rocket barrage late last week as a preemptive strike. It argues for its own defense, but you cannot also then include Israeli settler encroachment on the West Bank. You can't exclude the 2.2 million people facing starvation in Gaza. But then also it's what's happening around that area, what's happening with Syria signing a deal with the United States, the normalization brokered by China of relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran. There seems to be more than just one issue at play currently with this exchange between Israel and Iran.
Well, to start with the nuclear issue, I think I've been arguing, frankly, for years, and certainly much more intensely in the last few weeks, that this is a red herring. There is no real nuclear issue. It is a fiction. It's a fiction. Unfortunately, Iran has done some things to help maintain. But the U.S. intelligence assessment, which comes out every year, and was renewed this year by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's a very close Trump ally, has stated since 2007, without fail, that Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapon. They have stated it every year. They stated it this year. There has been no change. What has happened is because the United States has put such harsh sanctions on Iran, Iran doesn't have a lot of things, a lot of leverage, a lot of ways to respond, a lot of things it can develop to say, look, we have this and we can give this up if you'll take off the sanctions. So what they've done is enrich uranium, which they know the United States and the world does not want them to do. They are more than willing. They have said this over and over again, and in fact complied with this when the Iran nuclear deal was still in force. They are more than willing to allow intrusive inspections that no other country allows to make sure that their nuclear program is not producing weapons. They've done it before. They've said they'll do it again. If they actually comply with those sorts of inspections, they can't develop a nuclear weapon, but they will not give up the ability to enrich uranium at all, which is what the U.S. is demanding, because they want to be able to power their own nuclear plants for their own domestic energy use, and they see this as a national right, and one that I think there's a very strong argument that is implied by the Non-Proliferation Treaty. So you have that. You also have, and I think in the last few years, the Saudis and other countries have recognized that, because the Saudis used to be full participants in this charade about Iran's nuclear program. I think they've realized it was a bad idea and that they're better off trying to lower the temperature with Iran. There are many, many issues between Arab states and Iran that are not so easily resolved and that are going to continue to cause tensions whatever happens. But this is the one that can bring them to war. And I think the Saudis have tried very hard to lower that temperature and to get the United States to also be more reasonable. They were working on it. And then Israel, seeing that it might succeed, launched this attack. I believe that is the main motivation for why Israel decided to attack Iran now.
So your argument, largely, is that this crisis is political. It's not existential. It's Donald Trump
Absolutely.
looking for some sort of victory. It's Benjamin Netanyahu trying to seek some sort of political cover, because you also have members of his cabinet and his government also raising questions about last week's announcement of a preemptive strike in Iran.
I mean, the Israeli government is pretty strongly behind Netanyahu on the strike on Iran. There have been increasing questions about the efficacy of the Gaza operation, and I think that's one of the reasons that Netanyahu also has decided to do this now. There have been more and more, even within Netanyahu's own coalition, that have been starting to say, well, what exactly are we doing? What are our goals? What's the end game? What is our exit strategy? And those are questions he can't answer. Um, Unfortunately, what he's done now is create a whole series of the same questions regarding Iran. Trump is being played by everybody, which is, again, not unusual. But I do think there is still a strand of hope, because I think, Trump in his first term unilaterally abrogated the Iran nuclear deal simply because it was Barack Obama's deal. That was the only reason, because everyone, including his own people, acknowledged that Iran was abiding by it and that it was working. So he tore that up because he wanted to put his personal stamp on it. And Netanyahu, again, realized this and has undermined him. Now, it hasn't been totally without Trump's cooperation. Trump knew about this attack. The United States helped Israel modify some of their jets so that they could fly more stealthily from Israel to Iran, which is one reason why when the attack started, Iran had very little warning. And there's other regional issues around this too, because they had to fly over Syria and Iraq in order to do this. And again, they couldn't have done that a year ago. Syria would have had air defenses, and it would have been much, much more difficult. So there was also an opportunity that arose that I think might have been unexpected, but that Israel took advantage of.
Mitchell Plitnick, really appreciate your time, President of Rethinking Foreign Policy.